Okay, I am going to try to make some quick paper buttons. I have a hole punch, some holes that I punched, some extra board. This is actually from an Uncrustables container, if you know what they are. Some buttons to trace larger circles with, and an awl just to poke holes in for the buttons. You can use anything that you have. This is what I have. I'm going to see how good my cutting skills can be. And I've also put a piece of cardboard underneath of here so when I poke through, I don't ruin my beautiful wipey mat. So first things first, I'm just going to take these buttons and I'm going to put them here and just trace them. Easy peasy. I'm going to try. It's a checkerboard pattern, so it really doesn't matter too much where I angle them. It's not going to change it too much. All right, we're going to start with 2. See if I can fit this guy into here, saving every ounce of my scrap. And I hope the daylight is okay for you to see. It is very dreary here. Oops, that's going over that one. Let me try to move it a little. It's very dreary here, but the lights actually kind of cast a shadow. All right, we'll just start with 2 and 2. That'll make it easier. All right, just gonna get a pair of my scissors. Cutting is not my forte, but let's give it a try. I'm hoping that the pattern is busy enough that it really won't be too obvious, or maybe when I grunge up the edges, if any of the cardboard shows through, when I cut it, it will be not so bad. Semi-button shaped. And then the little guy. If you have a circle puncher in business, it's a little bit oblong for a button. Let me try to cut it a little more circularly. Maybe a little bit more off the top. I swore I traced it. It's probably my cutting, because then every time I go around. All right, we'll just hold that thought for now. Try to do better on the next ones. All right, we'll start with the smaller one this time. Okay, that looks better. And the big one. I guess you could always sand it down too if you had some sort of sandpaper or sanding block or some other way to make that be. So there is 2 big ones, 2 little ones. And then I had mini ones that I punched out in a bag, but let's just, for the sake of argument, let's punch some out here. They're not as thick because my hands really don't like to punch. Now I gotta find it. There it is. Oh, see. And when you do a pattern and you have something so small, you have to kind of be careful where you're angling it, or else you won't get a cool pattern. You'll just wind up with a color, which a colored button isn't bad, but let me see if I can go through my extras here and make one a little thicker. Sometimes it's fun not to have a thick button. If you have a journal that's already getting thick. Oh, that actually bounced back down. That's awesome. So I'll put that back over. All right. So now we have 4 of these. Sometimes, you know, you may not want to use an actual button because a button can be too thick in your journal or journal page. I got the idea for these buttons from a video on YouTube, actually, from Louisa Heinzel, and then it came up as a challenge on my Likely New Obsession, Savage Art Junk Journal, Swap, Share, Sell, and they had a challenge for making buttons, so it was very timely. I had some materials pulled, and we go through. All right, so the big one, I'm going to try to see if it isn't too goofy looking. I'm going to try for the 2 button on the big one, but with big holes. I know buttons don't usually have this big of a hole, but let me give that a try and see what happens. Let me try to get 2 that are kind of next to each other in the same row and kind of close-ish together and see how big that looks. Bear with my hand strength here. All right, I got 1 there. And 1 there. So that's way off, but I think if I cut it, I can make that work. It doesn't look too ridiculous. That's the size of a regular hole, so it's like maybe twice the size. All right, so let me try again. Let me hold it the right way. I'm going to try them a little closer together and a little more in the center. Okay. Now with these, they're going to be way too small for me to do that. So I'm going to try to do something smart to get the holes in the right position. I'm going to take what I traced and I'm actually going to poke through and wiggle around my awl. And then I'll move my hand just in case you couldn't see. Poke through and wiggle around my awl. Now I have my 2 holes and I can make them big by putting it all the way through. I wanted to poke through from this side because obviously using the awl, the part is going to be raised there and I didn't want that to be raised on my faux button. So there's that one, the little holes in it. And then this guy was odd shaped, but that's okay. I'm still going to use that as the guide. Go through twice. Remove. I always feel like I'm going to impale my finger. That is not the goal. All right, so I'm just going to go to the end of the awl and kind of wiggle it around to make the holes bigger. Okay. I guess buttons can be different shaped. There's no rule that says they have to be shaped that way. There's buttons that are flowers and buttons that are a bunch of other things. All right, last but not least, I'm going to try with these little guys and see if I can make mini buttons. So I'm just going to try to poke a hole. And that is way to the end. And then I'd have to do one up there. It's kind of hard to see. It is a mini button. I don't know how far I want to push these through. Let me see if I can turn it this way. You can see the holes are there. It's such a busy little design with all the stuff that's going on. All right, I'm going to try again. Poke, hold, near, and poke. And that one is a little off center too. But these are teeny tinies. I don't know what I can do to accentuate those. And then maybe let me try to make a bigger guy and use smaller holes. Just because I'm not really feeling those bigger holes. I thought I could get away with it. I'm going to trace again. And let me see if I can grab another little one here. Cut. I think the more I try to make it round, the more I make it a funky shape, but you really can't tell too much with the pattern, so that is not so shabby. Wonder if I just hold it like this and spin it around for future ones, if that would be easier. All right, I like them. All right, let's so have a go at this again, but just with the awl. Let's do the 4-hole. Please forgive my cuckoo clock. It is almost noon. Okay. Now it's funny, even though I used this, I didn't hold it down, so the holes are a little bit off. Not an exact science, but not the worst thing ever. Now we'll take this guy, hold it down, pick it up, make hole, make hole bigger, just so you can see. It's probably better when I do that, the light goes through. All right, and let me make one more big one and try to get it just a little bit straighter. I like this size, probably the most. All right, let's try one more attempt at being a little more even and holding it. I'm going to try to actually go for the center. Believe it or not, there's a lot of wiggle room here in the center of the circle because the awl is actually smaller than the hole. So I'm trying to get in the center of the circle, which I wasn't too worried about last time. All right, I'm just going to make the holes bigger. And you can see that that actually worked out. So I like those. These not so much. They don't come across as buttons. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 itty bitty ones. Now these were the really thin papered ones. Let me try to poke 2 holes in these real quick and see what happens. I'm gonna think that it might rip, but it also might work. It's super hard to see. Oh, it is a mini button. See if it reads that way in an art project. And one more. Okay. Many holes in it. And since I feel weird having 2 and then 3 and then 4, let me just trace 2 more out. Maybe practice makes perfect and I'll get a little bit better as I go on cutting if I keep doing it. Now, Louisa actually made a beautiful page with all this. That's why I kept so much extra scrap, and that's why I kept the piece here. So I might still do that and make a page. If I do, I'll pop it up in a picture and show you, but I just wanted a short little cute video about buttons. I wasn't sure about my actual cutting ability. So we all got to test that together today. All right. Holes. Holes. Remove button. Do not stab self with all. All right. So now I'm thinking that they're a little too busy. You can't necessarily tell that they're buttons. So this kind of has a lip around it. So I wonder what would happen if I just take my paint pen. See if it works. Okay, yep. All right. Now I'm gonna see, actually, maybe go for the big one. I'm going to see if I can draw a lip around here. And maybe I will turn a light on just to see if that helps any. I'm not sure if that's going to be more glare or good. And I'm just going to try to draw a white circle around. Please excuse my hand. I think it kind of accentuates my bad cutting, but then when it dries, I could actually then cut better. So that's the wonky one. So what do you think? I definitely feel like it needs something. So let's try again. Just gonna go around the edge. The material is kind of shiny because it's packaging from a box. So if I try to go over a section I just went over too quick, it really doesn't like that. So there's that one. I don't know, should we dare do it with the little guys? Trying not to stick my finger back in it is not a skill I am good at. I don't know, for better, for worse, what do you think? Do one more. Okay. And then also, coming from another totally different train of thought, could actually take some Distress ink and go along the edges or dab along the edges and kind of just get rid of that cardboard edge. Maybe that'll do the opposite. Instead of kind of highlight the edges, it kind of deepens the edges. Well, that's an idea. No, to me, buttons are shiny. So I'm thinking, I don't know, do I want to resin this? Do I want to put something shiny on top of it to make it all shiny? Or what? So it's kind of hard to tell, but it just kind of gets rid of that hard cardboard edge and replaces it with another one. I'm going to go whole hog here on the light again. I don't know if you can see that better. And then the minis, I really don't know what to do with them. I kind of like them better just as holes, not so much as buttons, because they're kind of hard to tell what they are, but they could be a good decoration. So yeah, so those are my buttons. These are my flops. And I don't know what else I could do. I have a purple shimmer glitter I could try to use and see if it makes the buttons shiny. Why not? It's not really a deep purple, it's more of a different color purple, but let's see if that makes them more interesting. One of my favorite things to do is use my paints in projects. And now I should be aware I'm going to have to repoke those holes. Because otherwise, then there totally goes my whole button effect. But this will dry kind of clear and shiny. So I don't know if I've ever seen a glitter button. So I don't know if this defies logic or not. But we're going to give it a try. All right, and let's do the ones that aren't like to use up all my paint. Again, I don't know what to do with these guys. They're just so teeny tiny. I think I even lost one. So, all right, we'll just leave them out for now. They could become decorations. And since I have a little bit left, I'll make this a little bit more shiny. All right, so we got some sort of shine. I'm gonna dry these real quick so you can see what effect the glitter shimmer had on it and make sure I repoke the holes, and I'll be right back. Okay, so that actually turned out to be a good gamble. Not so much for the nice flat sheen I wanted to see across from it, but when some of it got into the holes, as I was pulling it down and popping it back up, it kind of made a layer of depth to them that kind of sticks up a little bit with the clear goo from the shimmer. So that turned out to be a fun idea, and I do like them. Trying to find a good background for you to be able to see what they look like. I have a black rock here. Let's see if that helps. So there they are. So they were fun. They could be pawned off as buttons like the middle-sized ones with a little bit of practice. So there. I hope you guys liked this and found it interesting. Also, you know, I thought about doing it with paper. Like you can double up a piece of paper and maybe make one out of like this kind of shape. Or if you have something that you've collaged out of scrap papers, maybe if you hit an interesting area where parts of it intersect, maybe the buttons could be funner. So yeah, give it a try. Let me know what you use and let me know if you like this, and have fun and happy crafting. Bye.